Welcome back to Setting the Screen, WandaVision, everybody. It's a bittersweet evening. It's been a week, but it's still fresh. This is the final episode of Setting the Screen, WandaVision for the series probably. But we're gonna do it in style. We're gonna have a little watch party again. We're gonna discuss the show and discuss the entire season as a whole. And of course, with me the whole season, and he's back better than ever. Stephen Gillespie, how are you tonight, sir?
Man, it's like you mentioned, it's bittersweet. Well, first off, Rob couldn't be here with us tonight.
Yeah.
He's got work related stuff that I know all too well about. So shout out to Rob for being on. But man, as much as we're gonna miss Rob, it's only fitting. You and I kicked this off, and now we get to finish it out together. And man, it's just bittersweet. I've had so much fun breaking down this show, enjoying it independently, coming together, collecting our thoughts, dishing it out, not agreeing with each other, working it out together. And ultimately just this, I think this podcast made the show so much better than it would have been just by itself.
I totally agree, man. That'll be one of my knee jerks. We'll run right into knee jerks here. And that's going to be one of them, is that I had no idea how much fun and deep this podcast would go when you asked me to do it with you. And it's been more fun than I thought it was going to be. And I totally agree. It made the show, I think it really enhanced my viewing every week of the show. It made it must watch, scheduled TV, which is rare in this day and age, to have can't miss this show on this night. I watch it 2 or 3 times every week, before we do the show. Then we have the watch party. It definitely made the whole experience a blast. We got into the comics early on. We had a lot of recommendations for people to kind of catch up with Wanda and Vision and other things. That was a blast. So just, the whole combination of it all, we really dove in. It felt like we were in the Hex. We said that early on. It felt like we were part of the Hex. And it's been a blast, man. It's been a blast. So that's my knee-jerk reactions. That being said, as much fun as I had for the season, episode 9 let me down a little. We'll get into that as we watch and as we discuss it. It wasn't bad or anything, but I was a little. I felt a little empty, but still, it was fun. What did you think of the episode? After you watch it, immediate reactions.
I've been such a defender of this show, even the bad episodes.
Well, you just like the show, man. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good show.
I like the show. It's one of the best shows I've literally one of the best shows I've ever watched. I'm not just, not just saying that. I'm not a big sitcom guy. I've seen a bunch of the, the big ones that kind of transcend the generation that it comes from. And this, I feel, is going to be one of those. This is a unique experience that Marvel created with this. It's not your typical movie, and it's not your typical Marvel TV show. It's kind of the perfect balance of both worlds here. And there's going to be there's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be growing pains from this with Disney as they move forward. We know that Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be coming out soon, and that's already been in the works. So I think Disney now is starting to get feedback from people like you and I and our fine viewers and listeners, and they're going to learn from that. Now, back to what I was saying just a second ago, this episode, bit of a letdown for me. For one, I didn't like how hectic it started out at the beginning. There was no just easing into the story. It was just kind of a rapid series of events. It started off with one thing that I know that you said that you weren't looking forward to in this episode. We'll watch that when we get to it.
Yeah, we'll discuss.
And they tried to, one of the worries that you and our buddy Rob said was that they're going to try to do too much in such a short amount of time. It felt like we were promised that these episodes were going to be longer. As a matter of fact, this episode was just as short or long, however you want to phrase it, as the episodes prior to it. So it wasn't an extended episode like we thought it might be. And it was a bit of a letdown. That being said, I'm glad that a lot of the loose ends that I had personally were tied. I know that there's still some questions that we feel were unsolved, but ultimately I feel like this sets us up for some pretty cool things to happen down the line in the MCU. And that's really more than anything what I was looking forward to, is how this was going to play into the MCU timeline. I feel like if you look at it just in that aspect by itself, the series did a great job. And I think that this episode in particular is going to kind of launch us into something that we've never seen in not just MCU history, but in the history of movies. It's very innovative.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that everything you said is right on. And I think part of my disappointment was that I said it all along, like I didn't need a 9-episode trailer for the next stage of the MCU. And that's not what they gave us. I was worried about it for a while, but that is not what we got. This, I agree with you. I think this did a little too much setting up, the rest of it, but also in 10 years, we may look back and it will enhance it. Just like Age of Ultron got better because of this show.
Mm-hmm.
Civil War got better because of this show. So I'm not, it's a knee-jerk reaction, but I'm not going to get carried away with it. So without further ado, we'll get the watch party started here, and we'll discuss episode 9 with all of our wonderful listeners and viewers. If you're listening to this on the audio, sorry guys,
for one, you're awesome, and thank you for listening. We love you guys, everyone that supports the show.
And it's been the interaction's been cool. Interacting with the other WandaVision podcast has been super cool, bouncing ideas off each other, discussing this every week. It's just part of the whole experience has been great. This has went really well, and I as far as what we've done, I couldn't be happier with it. So for anybody audio listening, we're starting the episode right now. I'll count 3, 2, 1, click, and then we'll take off. Here we go. The previously even makes me a little sad.
Yeah.
Snooper's gonna snoop.
I just thought that Agatha, her role in this, now Agatha in this episode, I feel was phenomenal as always. I think that Agatha did a great job.
I think everybody did. Well, I'll get into some of the things I really liked about this episode.
Yeah.
It was an impossible episode to do. 8 was so great and so emotional and so deep, and we learned so much that how could you capitalize on that?
Well, as this episode comes on, like I got pretty emotional in this episode.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think that my second watch, I didn't, it didn't get. Usually the second watch, it gets a lot better for me.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't one of those, but that's fine. I mean, they all can't be. What was it? Episode? I believe his episode was 5. The one, maybe his 4 was my favorite. When they 4, I believe was that the argument, the Family Ties episode. Mm-hmm. I think that was 4. Wow.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Oh,
but
man.
Disclaimer, someone might see me cry just from how I watched it the first time.
Yeah.
And here we are, already off the get. This is what I was talking about,
it
Jeff.
Picked right up where 8 left off. Yep.
There was no easing into this. Agatha is sitting here choking Wanda's children, and then boom, witch fight. Great.
I know.
Witches.
Here we go, the witch fight. I could have done without it.
Yeah.
This is classic Disney witch fight. Just throwing magic at each other and colors, and it's not my favorite.
But look at this. Agatha is saying, taking magic from the unworthy is kind of my thing. Yeah. So that gives it a different aspect, and you can see that it's actually deteriorating Wanda's physical.
Love that. Yeah. Well, as far as witch fight goes, this is probably my favorite.
Yeah. It's a pretty low bar to clear, though, right?
It really is. Now, I don't like, from a production side of it, I don't love Agnes's like wardrobe in this.
It's realistic compared to the comics, but her age doesn't match the age of the comics.
I didn't watch or I didn't read a lot of her, so I defer to you on that. So I feel better now if it's because I'm all about like if you're being true to the comics, like I'm in this here. I mean, straight nod to Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, correct. Yes, the Wicked Witch, right?
I mean, boots. Pretty cool.
And then here we go.
Yep. I got some things to say about this.
Yeah. Here we have the white vision. Wanda's looking at him in just complete disbelief, like you're not Vision, but you are type thing.
And she knows this is his real body. This is the actual, like the actual physical Vision body without the color in it. That was part of the comics. Very true to the comics. But here's something this bugs me. Boy, it looks great.
Yeah, this is a great
Great.
costume, by the way.
Great. Okay, but here's the thing.
S-
It would
starts.
take him. Oh man, my camera went out.
Oh, that you think that it would take no time at all,
He would have crushed her face in the side. Sorry about the camera, everybody. It'll
unless
be
he was trying to slowly do it. But I do see your point. But now we see the vision from Wanda's heart to the rescue. And now they're all kind of splitting up. Something that we thought was going to happen. You know, we were going to have segments of different fights going on, right?
yes. So we thought we would get I call it the Superman junkyard fight between the two visions.
Yeah.
But yeah, not crushing her head, and then
she's so great, man.
oh, she's just amazing. Totally committed.
Who are you gonna choose? Like, she has a choice who she's gonna side with, right?
I'm
I'm
loving White Vision, like big fan.
Yeah.
I'm not an emotional guy, so the less the better.
Yeah.
But I do have some problems with this, some questions.
So Vision versus Cataract, and now we have Agatha versus Wanda.
Here's what I don't get. I still can't wrap my head around it. How is the Wanda's version of Vision? How is he physical? Like
she materialized the whole town, right? So I think there is some aspect that he does have a physical presence. Plus, they're still inside the hex, right?
Yeah, something's just I can never.
And I don't like how Quicksilver so easily dispatched Monica right there.
No, what they did with Quicksilver was I did not like any part of that. We'll get into that when we get to the Ralph Boner part.
Yeah,
here's a classic superhero fight, some neat stuff showing their
phasing in each other,
in and out, and this is true to the comics. There was a Vision on Vision fight.
Yeah.
They both look pretty cool.
And now we have this jerk bag here.
This stuff's weird. Okay, so we got Jimmy Woo,
who was captured by a shield.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, sword, not
sword.
Shield. It's a hard habit to break.
But this is so like this show is so smart, and all this right here is so cliche. Like, hey, he swiped a phone. Like, look, that dude standing right behind him. The security sword.
Yeah,
sword.
Like no one sees him doing it.
He gets ready. He's getting ready to undo his handcuffs with a. Why would he have a clothespin or a I guess you don't call it a clothespin. You call it a
bobby pin.
Bobby pin.
Yeah.
Why would he have that? Why would he possibly?
Well, every experienced FBI agent keeps a bobby pin in his pocket for moments exactly like this, Jeff.
And okay, so then he's like, "Oh, we could bring in the FBI." We're talking a major, huge anomaly on Earth. The FBI is probably there somewhere, like they would have already been there.
Well, is he talking about the FBI or is he talking about Nick Fury?
No, he says Quantico.
Oh,
he says the FBI, yeah. And then Hayward says, that's when he says, they'll never know there were two visions. And I'm like, well, there's not two visions. And why would they care?
Yeah.
It doesn't make, none of this makes sense. Really, and I kept thinking
it's very rushed at this moment. It slows down later in a very good way. And I think it focuses on the parts that are true to the comics a lot. But a lot of this kind of side quest stuff is very rushed. There's not a lot of context to it.
No, and it's silly. It's a little. I kept thinking that was going to be part of it. Like they were doing like this form of the show was going to be like a bad cop show. I'm like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. No, this is what we get. Yeah. Okay, so here's some more stuff that I've got some huge questions on.
Don't shoot. I'm just a messenger.
So
more witch fighting in the town square.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Never been up against another witch before. And boom, we get that it's the Darkhold here.
Yep.
The Book of the Damned. There's a whole chapter.
I love how frustrated Agnes is that Wanda doesn't know anything about magic.
And the Scarlet Witch is forged, not born, right? So this is starting to feel more and more. I know I've said it several times. This is like the Phoenix Force is what they're doing with.
It's a better version of it, but yeah.
Yeah. It's her destiny to destroy the world.
So Elizabeth Olsen, still great, still great. I
Mhm.
mean, she was asked to do so much in this series and just
Be
kill.
so many different
Now
people.
here's a big moment. We see Dottie
Hmm.
begging Wanda to see her daughter. Classic
She's your
Wanda.
meat puppet. I just cut her
Ooh, that
strings.
was cold. But that's
Yeah.
classic Wanda. Total denial of like that.
And no accountability.
No, she overreacts and does these things.
And now we see the whole town is being
Mhm.
freed from this like just mind control that Wanda has over them.
Yep.
And they're all approaching her
Oh,
and
yeah.
obviously upset. But it just killed me that Dottie was nobody.
Oh no, it was none of them were.
Yeah,
And,
even our friendly neighborhood Quicksilver.
yeah. So Quicksilver's got Monica Rambeau captive in his
Main
attic.
cave. And we see that there it says Ralph Boner on this paperwork
Yeah.
that she sees in a picture. This is Ralph Boner, like a headshot. Is he supposed to be an actor?
Why
Like,
would he just have a headshot sitting there?
yeah, Boner. Huh.
Really,
Really big letdown there.
really disappointed in character. This kid really didn't do that good of a job acting, and the whole time I thought he was purposely acting like a bad actor, and I just don't think he's that good. I don't think Evan Peters did that well
I
compared.
think that they did ask him to be
It
a
could
total
be.
tool because
No,
right here, I think he did good.
yeah, you're right. She breaks the hex, and Ralph is just a dude
Yeah.
that Agnes posed as Quicksilver.
And he still might be in like that 90s trance that he came in on or that early 2000s, you know?
Yeah,
And now we see the boys here being held or
yeah.
being up in their room. And we see Tommy being able to look and see what's happening with her mom.
It was cool to see them work together. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Tommy or not Tommy, but Billy can sense what's happening, and then Tommy grabs him and they, use the
Yeah. They
speed
use the mind control and the super speed.
together. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Here's Wanda trying to rationalize what she's done.
How terrible she must be feeling at this moment.
Yeah.
And not like she's without blame, right? So
Oh yeah. So I don't. Yeah, I'm very. I'm not. I don't want to say anti Wanda, but like I put myself, if I'm one of the townspeople, like I'm really upset.
you're not an apologist. And here, out of a fit of rage, she's casting a spell that's choking all these townspeople that are asking her to stop.
Yeah, she gets. But this is classic Wanda in the comics.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a great job building her character. I will give them that. Like, this
we basically got a new origin story.
That's exactly. We got a 9-episode origin story, and it's great. Mm-hmm. And the payoff at the end of this is amazing.
Mm-hmm. And now she's saying that she's going to set him free.
Yeah.
Heroes don't torture people.
Yes. Well, that's why she's always more, mutant or anything. She. Mm-hmm. For sure.
And now we see her using her power to try to open up the hex.
Yeah.
To let these innocent people out of her spell. But what's crazy is like this hex got expanded by miles. Like, not a lot of people are getting into vehicles at this moment. That's not to say that they didn't at some point.
But why would you run? Like, yeah. Why would you? Who's tried to get out of town by like, oh, okay, I got a half marathon ahead of me to get to get to the other side of New Jersey. Like, no.
Well, to be fair, these cars are like changing make, model, body style. Probably want to stay clear of that. So I do get that. But
I thought something really insulting they did too was Well, we'll talk about it later when the hex is
Yeah.
actually gone. But
And now we see the visions are fighting while the
Vision
hex is
fight.
opening.
Yeah, the
And
Superman
now,
fight.
yep. And now Wanda's vision is falling, disintegrating. He's not doing so well because the hex is being taken apart. And here comes
Here
Sword.
comes Sword because the hex opened. Now, something they also still never explained. One of my unexplained questions: if Wanda can let the townspeople out of the spell, and so can Agnes, they still never explain how Vision could. It doesn't make any sense how he could snap people out of it. He's not magic.
Yeah, he's a part of the hex.
He doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah. And Agnes dropped the biggest line, you tied your family to this twisted world and one can't exist without the other. So the boys and her husband are in front of her eyes right now.
Yeah.
Just being literally pulled apart.
Disintegrating, yeah.
And she has to choose, does she free these people and destroy the hex, or does she do the selfish thing and let her kind of engineered family live?
Yep.
It's terrible to be.
But the problem is she put herself in this position.
Correct. Out of grief.
Yeah. But I keep thinking, like, how many of these townspeople like missed events and missed their children and missed their, like, it's been a few days. Like, that's a big deal. Like, they missed part of their life. It's
yeah. And now we see Agnes absorbing some of Wanda's power.
Yeah.
And she's turning like almost like statuesque almost.
Yeah. All the colors being zapped out of her. Like the commercial in I think it was episode 7, maybe 7. On the island.
Yeah.
White Vision, I'm a huge fan. He's gonna stick around.
Yeah, has to. And now we see Sword rolling up on them.
The worst part of this show is this next cool pose right there. The classic Incredibles pose was pretty neat for the family to do.
And, the Avengers music queuing up there.
Yeah, really cool. But the next 5 minutes is bad.
I love that, Vision telling the boys, we never prepared you for this, but Wanda says, but you were born for it.
Yeah.
And now the Visions are fighting again.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And now we know that White Vision is programmed to destroy Wanda's vision, and they're fighting in the library.
Well, no, Vision's programming overall is to destroy.
Mm-hmm.
That's his original programming.
Right, but in here he specifically said to destroy the vision.
Mm-hmm.
And he's choke-coding a synthoid.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And he drops the truth bomb that I'm not the real Vision. And now White Vision's like, hold up. Say that again?
So here's another one.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to this ridiculous part first.
Yeah.
Just classic.
Yep. And now Agatha is somehow trying to gain Wanda's support while also tearing her family apart.
She's very, very pro-witch. Once again, Wanda created this. It's not a witch hunt. Like, what are they supposed to do? Just let her keep a town captive for the rest of her life?
No, they made it very clear that they weren't just going to stand idly by.
And now Wanda, I lived in the town. I'm with them. Now more witch fight.
And Wanda looks like she's a little bit more knowledgeable on what to do. And the boys are fighting now.
Now this part's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Whoever okayed this is just silly.
Hayward shooting at the kids.
First of all, nobody trained would shoot a firearm like that. That's the first thing. Why nobody would? His first instinct wouldn't be to shoot the kids like that.
Yeah. And now we see Monica working with the kids.
Yeah.
And she's using powers now to stop the bullets from hurting the boys.
I guess the bullet thing, she becomes basically like a solid light is what it's considered. And that's from the comics. Like that's like page for page from the comics. So that was cool. But Hayward wouldn't. And then now
he's running away in a Humvee.
Oh my God.
Backing up. And then here comes Darcy.
Yeah. Wow.
Have fun in prison. And that's all we see from Darcy. That's it.
Hayward turned out just to be a doofus.
Yeah. And now we learn about Theseus's ship.
Yeah. This part I didn't
I like this.
I
Actually,
didn't
I
mind
really like
this.
this.
And this is common for Vision to solve things intellectually rather than physically. Because these two would fight forever. It would never stop.
Yeah.
They just keep phasing.
And now they're sharing, different aspects of like, what makes an original. If you strip the ship of its planks, does that make it original?
But another
Neither is
thing
the
they
true
do though is
ship.
like why would the WandaVision version all of a sudden he's so knowledgeable? Like 12 hours ago he was a child. Like how did he learn? Like they don't answer that question. Like he can't remember because he doesn't have the memories, but they just made him like it just doesn't follow what they did throughout the series. Now he's like all-knowing Vision.
Yeah. Maybe it was when Darcy talked about what happened, it unlocked something. I don't know.
She did tell him a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, he's a total creation. Like Wanda would only let him remember what he's not an actual thing that can learn.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. Like he can't be it just never made sense.
Yeah. So his memory storage is not so easily wiped. So maybe what's happening here is the knowledge part of this white vision and the emotional part of Wanda's vision interacting.
Yeah.
Just awaken everything that had happened. And we seeing these flashbacks from Endgame, Infinity War, Age of Ultron, Civil War, all these great movies.
Yeah. Which for the record, let's keep in mind though, the Wanda version didn't have these memories. Like now he's got these memories.
Well, no. So he said specifically that the white vision had memories. And that's what I was saying earlier. Maybe the emotional side of this vision with the intellectual part of the other vision kind of formulated a form, like a fully formed vision.
And now that's what happens in the comics. The white vision does become, that form of a vision, and they get like him and Wanda are divorced and stuff, in the comics, and they're not,
So white vision just flies away off to who knows where.
He gone. I think we'll see him again.
That was cool. I liked the sudden creep up of Wanda on Agnes.
This part. Then now we're back to Salem,
Massachusetts.
Yeah, another witch trial. That's cool.
Yeah. And now Agnes is back on the stake in a most vulnerable part of her memory.
Yeah.
And Wanda just magically knows how to do this.
Yeah. It just.
This is creepy. They did a good job with this. Though.
Yeah, pretty cool actually. No, as far as if you like witch shows, I mean, they nailed it.
Yeah. So all the people that died in the last episode that we saw Agnes going down memory lane with Wanda at the beginning, all these people had died at the beginning, and now Agnes has to face her demons almost quite literally at this point.
But still, like, this is a lot of minutes of witch fighting.
Yeah. Like I think it's important to understand the relationship of sorts that happens between Agnes and Wanda, because going forward, I don't think that this is the last that we see of these two together.
No, they're not letting Catherine Hahn go. I can tell you that.
No, they're going to keep her quite wealthy.
That's what I said, as far as an origin story, but they could have cut this witch stuff down to half the time and did some other stuff. They could have did some other stuff with this episode. They totally just Sword just became like an afterthought, and they did a ton of witch stuff.
But remember, this was all filmed together before us watching it. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. I think that Disney is going to learn a lot from this.
Yeah.
And now we see Wanda donning the cowl or the
I think that was a cowl, isn't it?
The cowl of sorts of the Scarlet Witch.
Which credit to Disney and Marvel that they made it not ridiculous, and that's hard to do with these comic book true uniforms, costumes. Like that's really hard to do.
Considering that this costume has been in circulation for what, 80 years?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Really well done. But here in a minute, we're next level stuff. But still, just another yell, another
tackle.
surge.
Now they're back in the hex.
They can fly.
They're flying into this red storm of witchcraft. And now Wanda is throwing all of her magic into Agnes, even though she knows she's absorbing it.
Yeah.
And is sending Vision away, who tried to help her.
But once again, why would this Vision even know like that's bad or good?
I don't know.
It just doesn't.
And we see they're fighting, and it looks like Wanda's like missing her target. Like some of her magic is flying against the walls of the hex at this point. She misses again, hits the wall of the hex, another wall.
Jimmy Woo just hanging out, waiting for his friends from Quantico that apparently weren't worried about this situation for the last week. Like, this would be such a worldwide event that a city was under a hex. Like, what
a great look.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They did great. The graphics come out really nice.
But I get what you're saying with Quantico and their rapid
Everybody in the world
response.
would be surrounding this place.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, let's let it play out.
Yeah. They got a witch. They're all right.
Yeah. We got the classic witch laugh.
And now we see Wanda just completely drained of her magic, still levitating in the air.
It's like the child on the island in the commercial.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. Nobody in the country at this point thinks that, oh, I can't believe Wanda lost. That was weird. Didn't see that happening.
Yeah.
It's just, what a trope.
This world will always be broken. And then Agnes goes for the kill shot, and her magic is no longer working.
Yeah, of course not.
So, what's going on at this moment, you know?
Yeah, wild.
And now we see Wanda revived, coming back to being formed again.
Yep.
And now we see these runes.
Yep.
Behind her. So
pretty cool.
She was smart enough to remember the lesson that Agnes taught her about casting the runes, and only the witch that casts the runes can perform magic in the area.
Keep in mind, taught her that lesson about 5 minutes ago.
She got a good memory.
Right. That's what I mean. But I mean, that's all the time that's went by.
Yeah.
It's 20 minutes.
Thanks for the lesson.
But really, really drawn out.
Oof. I don't need you to tell me who I am. Here we go. She is turning into the Scarlet Witch.
Or the Phoenix. Oh, I mean, Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Definitely Scarlet.
The Scarlet Phoenix.
There you go. Yeah. Like I said, I don't question the production or the look and what this
now Agnes's magic is being consumed by Wanda.
Yes, she took it all back. And this is
I love this.
This is without a doubt the best costume in the MCU. Hands down.
We see the evening gloves.
Perfect.
The cape.
It's perfect. Her hair's blown out like she's going to the prom. It is perfect.
The neck piece. You don't know what you've done, says Agnes. She never like you say all the time, she never realizes what she's done in the moment. It's always when things happen later that she's like, we'll just figure it out as we come.
Notice the colors on this magnificent outfit match Magneto's. That's not an accident.
Oh, of Wanda's, yeah.
Yeah, if you watch, the Magneto
Mm-hmm.
from the
X-Men.
the newer X-Men. Wow.
So what now? You gonna lock me up somewhere? Nod to the comics.
Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah. The nosy neighbor.
I mean, look at the blue and the pants. Like that's just. I can't believe the costume creator gets all of the love. Buckets of flowers.
Yeah. You have no idea what you've unleashed. You're gonna need me. And boom.
I mean, Wanda's cold blooded. I mean, she's more of a Magneto type.
I know.
She's not a hero.
I love Catherine Hahn so much.
Yeah, she's perfect.
She just went from being a powerful witch to a soccer mom.
Yeah. Wanda's hair, though, that's magnificent.
Not if I see you first, hun. And now we see that Agnes is gonna be a pretty important.
Yes.
We're gonna do predictions and stuff after this, right? So
For sure.
yeah. Happy ending, but not for us. Oh no.
I thought they closed this. I thought they closed this out very well. Though. Totally pleased with the ending and how they did it, because we've talked all season of how they were going to do this, how Disney would do this situation. It's a delicate situation.
It's not a happy ending.
You can't do the comic version. Well, some of the comic versions, there's more than one, but
yeah,
really,
most of them, if not all of them.
You're right. But I thought how they did, like from the moment she becomes the Scarlet Witch till the end, I think is really great.
And that's what I was talking about when this is the part where it slows down and they really invest the time in the important part of the show.
The payoff. We got the payoff.
Yeah.
If you watch episode 1 and then you watch this, like they really, like, you get the full, the full storyline, the full impact.
Yeah, and we see the not so triumphant return to the home of Wanda and Vision. And we see the hex, the boundaries of the hex are slowly closing in. So we know that it's only a matter of time.
Yep.
Before the hex and everything that.
And there's some discrepancies with the speed of the hex, but I think Wanda was controlling the speed.
Yeah.
And we all have to remember, this is Wanda's. Essentially, I look at the hex like this is Wanda's brain dealing with these things. Like it's not a real. Like the hex can be whatever speed she wants it to be. She could enlarge it. You know what I mean? She's the most powerful, even Agnes said more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme, which, wow.
Yeah.
We'll get
now we see Wanda and Vision, they're laying down Tommy and Billy for bed.
Yeah.
And she's telling them that family is forever. And we could truly never leave each other even if we tried. It's almost as if the boys know.
Well, yeah, because they're just part of her conscience. I mean, part of her conscience. Like she's saying that to her, you know what I mean? She is them.
Yeah, she's consoling herself, as we've seen through a lot of the episodes.
Exactly.
She's a lot of self-counseling.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. And she says a weird thing here that this will have to touch on afterwards that I don't know the answer. Right here.
Yeah, she's looking at the boundary coming closer.
But it's not imminent because she's controlling it. Like I thought they did great right there with it. It's not a panic.
Thanks for choosing me.
She says, "Thanks for choosing me." I can't wait to hear your theory on what that means when it's all over. Because
sad music's playing. The boys are assuming their sleep positions, and Door comes shut.
Yeah, but they're not going to panic because it's once again, it's her conscience memories.
Yeah, and I think that now it speeds up because the kids are asleep. They're
Yeah.
not watching it happen.
Right.
We see the family picture. Beautiful family.
And it's that's her, I guess, for lack of a better term, it's a fantasy that she would have had of like what could have been.
Yeah, she's turning out the lights here in the living room, and
yeah, this is a pretty cool moment here. This is Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany having a moment. This was really cool. It's not even really Wanda and Vision at this point, Man, they're good actors. Wow.
It's bad luck to say goodbye in the dark.
She says no, they didn't. I like it when Vision jokes a little bit. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah. Just wanted to see you.
Third time we've had to kill Vision.
This is the hardest one, though, man.
Well, there's still White Vision. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, but we're saying goodbye to the Vision we know.
Yeah.
And now they're holding hands, looking out the window.
That's a neat little shot right there. I thought that was great. Like just the way it looked through the window and the filmography of it.
Oh, man. Vision cried.
Which, once again, like, it's all about the timeline, because you got to keep in mind that in Wanda's world, Vision's only actually been dead we're only up to maybe a month, because he died, she got blipped, she came back, and she did this. So it really hasn't been that long, In our minds, it's been 2 years since we've seen the movie.
Yeah.
3 years since we've seen him die. Her, it's been a month.
We've said goodbye before, so it stands to reason that we'll say hello again.
Yeah.
Here comes the hex. Oh, this sucks, man. And now the home that Vision wanted to give Wanda.
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
It's going away right in front of her. So long, darling.
It looks like they spent a lot of the budget right there on that shot. That was pretty sharp.
Yeah. And now Wanda's back where she was
in the middle of the foundation of the old house.
Yeah.
Still don't agree with that, but
yeah.
We're not going to get into we're not going to get into structural. There's no reason you would have the inside of the house be full of dirt. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it's fine. Yeah. Not in New Jersey. It'd be terrible frost issues.
Maybe in Arkansas.
Possibly.
And now we see Wanda going full 8 Mile, throws the hood up over her head.
Gets in the Buick. Well, no
she doesn't. She walks right past that Buick.
And then here's where some people have some serious problems, legitimate problems with the show, and I get it.
Yeah, like why would she walk through there instead of like just skirting out through the side?
The fact that nobody's cussing her out.
Well, they know who she is and what she can do.
Oh, good point.
They just saw her kill a witch, or enslave
Right.
one, so to
Good
speak.
point.
And now I love this, that we finally get to see like the beginning of a genuine friendship between Monica
Yeah.
and Wanda. Just so true to the comics.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that part because once again, no, Wanda, you kidnapped they're mentally for 5 days.
Right, but I think that she understands the fact that like, yeah, I screwed up royally and there's nothing I can do to
Yeah.
make it better.
But Monica giving the old they'll never know what you did. Like, what do you mean what you did? If you caused the problem, then fix it. You can't take credit for fixing it.
Yeah.
Really disagree with that. But I'm anti Wanda. Like, I don't like
Well,
Wanda.
she says they won't know what you sacrificed for them, so that meaning Vision and the boys, right? So
Yeah,
like,
but she's the one that put him in that state to begin with.
right,
If
but
I kidnap somebody
at
and
the
let them
same
go,
time, she like manifested her, late husband. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like that's what she was wanting to do.
and put all their kids captive in their houses.
Right.
Like, I'm just can't get around it. I would be
No.
mad. I would be really mad.
And now we see the Scarlet Witch flying away.
I don't personally recall her having such a gift of flight. Like,
Now she looks like Red Riding Hood.
yeah. Yeah.
And she
That
leaves
kinda looks
Westview,
like that.
and that's the end of the regulation,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah. The cutscene's really cool.
Yeah.
Whenever it is, 10 minutes from now.
Yeah. So, anything you want to discuss in the couple minutes that we're waiting here?
Yeah. Just like I said, the biggest thing is like too much witch fighting for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like how they wrapped it up. The actual story arc was fine,
Yeah.
but really about 10 minutes too much of throwing, just throwing magic around, and then the old tropes of like, oh, you're defeated. Oh, you double crossed me, like the old bait and switch. The Vision on Vision. Like, I went back and listened to our older episodes. Like, we knew the Vision on Vision. Superman, the junkyard fight was coming up.
Yeah.
Like, they could have. I don't know what they do. I mean, it looked cool, but like, it doesn't make any sense because Vision wasn't real. I can't get my head wrapped around the physical fight.
Well, he was fit. Like, she created like physical aspects of the hex.
And if they would have explained that her physical creations more,
here we go.
It made some more sense. Oh,
now we see Wu directing traffic. This is the first of 2 trailers. If you're listening,
scene, yeah.
Monica.
And here's the thing: where's
Darcy?
Where's Darcy? Why is the FBI there now? Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Hayward's a clown.
Hayward is just unceremoniously getting taken away.
But he turned out to be
detective says that they're waiting for you in the theater. So now Monica is going into the Coronet, the movie theater here, being escorted, and there's an empty room. There's an empty room, like no one's in here waiting.
Yeah.
I was sent by an old friend of your mother's, and this agent is now a Skrull. He heard you've been grounded. He'd like to meet with you. Monica asks where, and she points up and looks to the sky.
So a lot of people think that, are they talking about Nick Fury?
Has to be Nick Fury. Who else could it be? Who else is an old friend of Monica that's up?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was maybe that other Skrull character.
Would you consider him to be a friend of Carol or
I guess
Monica?
I guess I don't know, because I don't know what happened between Captain Marvel and the next 10 years.
Yeah, so no one knows. I think the safe bet though is to say Nick
most
Fury.
Most people are going with Nick Fury.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the more logical choice.
Yeah.
It's not Captain Marvel, right? Because
at some point, can we move on from Nick Fury?
No.
Does he have to be the focal point of every movie? I don't think it's Nick Fury.
He does have to be a part of everything. It's Samuel L. Jackson, bro.
Good
He's
point.
he's the black guy in every movie.
Yeah.
I would like to see Morgan Freeman somehow introduced into the MCU.
Should we get close? They filmed in Georgia, Los Angeles.
The typical places movies are made.
Where they film every movie now. Yeah, Georgia's really killing it right now with the
Yeah.
Ohio did really well for a while because we the taxing and stuff. Like we've had a lot of really big movies filmed here. Like
Chicago's another big one.
New Orleans was big for a while after Katrina. They opened
Miami is a good place for filming movies when it's not underwater. You know.
Yeah, they actually filmed to tie it to the MCU. They filmed part of the first Avengers movie in Cleveland. Some of the fight scenes.
Very cool.
Which is funny because they filmed it because the area looked kind of like run down and everything. But now so now when you drive by there though, like everything's new because it's kind of revitalizing it. So it's kind of funny that it's the opposite. Yeah.
And now here we go.
This was pretty cool. I like this one.
This was dope.
Yeah, big fan. Big fan.
So we see this panning out of just beautiful mountains, beautiful lake with.
Quick question: is this real? Trees. Is this real?
Yeah, I think it's real. I think this is Wandagore Mountain.
No.
Pretty important setting in a lot of Wanda.
Yeah, good call.
And we see Wanda chilling in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, sipping coffee.
Very Thanos-like, by the way.
Yeah.
Very Thanos-like.
We hear tea going off in the background.
Wanda and basically the sweat outfits just tears me up, bro.
Yeah.
Just her choice of like wardrobe. It's so cool.
And she's like in this old rundown building. Is this where she was born?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
And we see the Scarlet Witch reading the Darkhold.
And studying.
In what looks
strange like.
In what looks like the astral plane that we saw Doctor Strange do in his movie.
And importantly, you hear the kids screaming.
Yep. And then magic kind of assuming. So there's so much to unpack just in that 15, 20 seconds right there.
Well, then that's the problem. They spent, 15 minutes, really getting nothing done.
Well, it's tradition for a Marvel show or movie to leave you hanging and wanting to figure out what happens next. Like that's to be expected.
No, it was like I say, episode was cool. Did a lot of good things. I thought they really, it was just a time management thing, which is more of that's not as much the story was fine. I just think the production side of it, I just think they really drug some things out that they didn't need to. Even the Vision fight got a little like, okay, let's get through this. I don't know. It wasn't great, but I did like how they wrapped it up. Most importantly, I liked how they wrapped the story up at the end. I felt really good about that because I had no idea how we said it. I think it was on episode 2 or 3. We talked about how they painted themselves into a corner, and this was how they got out of it. Which kudos to them. They did a great job. The Marvel team, and
not in real time. I think that's the important part to remember is that they didn't create a show and then say, what did everybody think? And then the next Friday,
they had no idea.
One out.
They had the phenom that it became. Like they had no idea, for sure. Overall, like I said, it's a bit of a letdown, but I also, as the series, it didn't ruin the series as a whole. It helped the series. I just really think there's only about 15 minutes. There was another episode like that. Man, I can't remember now. They've all kind of blended in, but they had another episode where they kind of wasted. They really only had 15 minutes of content and out of 40. And this one really felt like that. Like I was surprised that after everything we went through, it came down to just Agnes and Wanda fighting over witch stuff, like over magic powers. Like We never got a a Fantastic Four, any X-Men.
You didn't get your big bad that everyone was anticipating.
Mephisto and nothing. Like we got nothing, and they didn't even allude to it. I mean, even Hayward turned out to be a complete flop. Now, some of this makes me wonder because this show had some, I should say some challenges, due to COVID, like just some production things, some scheduling. So part of me wonders if this final episode, if any of it got altered or smoothed out or I don't know.
I see what you mean. Yeah, like edited at some.
It just didn't feel like what we were building to. Like they were so careful and built this thing up so perfectly. And then like you mentioned it a few times, it's just like rushing through this and let's get this done and let's throw the going.
I would love to see the extended version of the episodes because that there's stuff on the cutting room floor.
Yep, I would agree, and it just something felt weird about it. But from the time she actually turns into the Scarlet Witch till the end of the show is amazing. I thought the cut scenes are pretty cool.
Oh yes,
the Captain Marvel one, that's just an advertisement for a movie, no big deal. I don't. We saw a scroll, great, but the final one
that was kind of important though.
The final one where you see the development of Wanda and who she's going to be, and knowing that I think we're pretty certain now she's going to be in
Doctor Strange
multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange. That's great. So there's another question. Another podcast brought it up, and I started thinking about it. Where's Doctor Strange?
I think he's the stork, dude. I think he's the stork.
Why does he don't show up and be like, "Hey, Wanda, what's up?"
Well, and remember, I've brought this up. I don't think that we're meant to get every answer in this show. I think that the show, we did get some answers, right? We did get some things confirmed in here, but these movies, I think, are gonna pick up. Remember, this is this is the beginning of a brand new phase. You know what I mean? Like, and to expect within 45-minute episodes, 9 a pop, that we're gonna learn everything that there is to know about this upcoming, brand new phase in a way that's introduced in a whole new way that we've ever seen before in cinematic history. I think we're spoiled, right? Like we want and expect so much within a matter of 9 episodes. You know what I mean?
But I guess,
and I think that I think that this is going to be the launch point. Like I've mentioned a few times, right? That a lot of movies are going to kind of call back and beckon back to this show, and it's going to tie it together.
That's fine, but I guess my issue with it, just personally, that's not what I wanted. I wanted, for once, I want a series. This one came really close to closure. Like, what I really hate is when they make a series counting on the second season of it, and then but you're not guaranteed that second season, or they're waiting to see ratings. It doesn't happen as much with the streaming services, but with network television, like they'll spend a whole year setting up 10 years of a show, and then the show gets canceled. So this did give us closure. I give it, once again, like I'm grading it hard, much like I do the Buckeye or something like that. I did love it. There's some questions that don't quite make sense as far as with the series, like just the whole, like a big one, like just nobody showing up to the Hex.
Yeah.
Like it's there. People on the outside know it's there. Like just like Tony Stark's dead. Yeah. I don't know. Who's kicking right now in the market.
Well, and that's the other thing.
Somebody might.
Our heroes are regrouping right now. Like,
true. That's a good reason. I do.
Our heroes are regrouping. You mentioned too that this is only happening within a couple weeks.
That's true.
People are coming back together. Yeah, and we're gonna see this Friday what Falcon and Winter Soldier have been up to.
And it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird too, though, because Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to be first. But I think it was because of COVID, things got switched around because of production. So it's going to be odd to see how they've altered the two shows, if it is.
And how simultaneously are they happening at the same time?
The time frame. And I'm sure, and I think that did affect something. I really think this last episode was changed based on just events and time. I mean, Black Widow never came out. We don't know. I mean,
that's the other thing
that takes place in the past. Like, you don't know, there's not something that was going to
setting up.
Even if it's a trailer or something, but overall, no, absolutely great series. I look forward to watching it every week. Every episode made me happy. I watched them all. I watched every one of them twice, 3 times. We started watching, doing the watch parties, which I really have enjoyed.
Me too.
And even just watching it just there, it did not feel like I can't do that with every show. It's Elizabeth Olsen. Can't say enough good things about her. Amazing. Paul Bettany, Catherine Hahn, even the town,
the kids were great.
Kids really by episode 9 were really
Monica was freaking fantastic.
Great. And we know that we have got her coming up in Captain Marvel in a couple years.
Jimmy Woo, Darcy, like
great. Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Just because episode 9 didn't showcase them, I was a little disappointed with that. Doesn't mean that they didn't do a fantastic job. Like all the good in this series was like 90% click rate. Unbelievable stuff, from costumes to graphics to
innovation. That's what I appreciated the most about this is new, and like we've never seen a sitcom set up to where it's like
seen anything like this.
Let's step through every generation of sitcom. Oh, in the meantime, here's a superhero origin story. Well, there's the kids have an origin story now.
Yeah.
New Vision has an origin story now. Wanda has a new origin story. Monica has an origin story.
And a lot of people think that this could also be an easy way out for like anybody they want in that town to make a hero, like Dottie or somebody. Like people speculate that Dottie could be.
I thought that she was
X-Men universe now, and so that it's great. It can be like the event, and like I say, the fact that we got a complete series and we've got all that is great. Like it really, the guts that Marvel had to do this layout and to stick with it.
Yeah.
Because this is you can, if you listen to people who haven't watched it, they're like, this is weird. I don't understand what I'm watching. So the guts for them to say like, no, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to go forward with this. And we're not going to give up on it.
And that's what reeled us in, was how unique episode 1 was. It's like, what the heck are we watching right now? I bet there's
probably 5 episodes that I would consider like some of the best TV I've ever watched. Episode 9 was classic superhero. Like it was good, but it's kind of like watching Ant-Man and the Wasp or whatever. Like, oh, it's good, but nothing didn't change anything. As far as an origin story, I think Wanda now has probably the most complete and the best one that we've seen so far, because we got 9 episodes to see it. Plus we've had 4 movies she's been in. So everything combined, really fantastic stuff for her. And now
the send off too.
We have a fully developed Marvel character that we can really, really sink our teeth into going forward. Like she really has a lot of clout now in the universe. Like when she shows up in a movie, everybody is like, oh, okay. It's almost like Iron Man. By the time he had, the 3 Iron Man movies, plus he had the Avengers movie. By the time we got to Infinity War and Endgame, like we really knew Iron Man. We were really connected. We were really invested. And now we've got Wanda. Like when she shows up, we're going to be like, ooh. Like if she shows up in a show, any of these movies in the future, in the next 5 or 6 years, if she pops in, like, it's a big deal, as opposed to like Age of Ultron. You're like, oh, Scarlet Witch. Now, even watching Age of Ultron, you're going to be like, whoa, Scarlet Witch. Really great job. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's totally fine. And that was one thing I wanted to touch on, and I don't know if you want to wait and save it for predictions, but with the development that we've seen of our heroes through phase 1 up until Endgame, they just took down the dude that they had been wanting to take down for 10 years. It took them 10 years, but they finally were able to get him. We've seen, Thor, it has grown in strength and power. We've seen Spider-Man grow in strength and power. Captain Marvel has done the same thing. Vision, you could argue that Vision has grown in strength and power now. The Scarlet Witch. And we know now that Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to have their story come out. So with all of these heroes growing in stature and power, especially with what Wanda did in the show, and even Agnes kind of saying, like, you don't know what you've done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think this is setting up for the villain that is going to show up to be up against these guys has to be a villain of,
true.
It's got to make Thanos look like such a little pee on almost
Yeah,
because of
well,
how strong our heroes are now.
and that's a problem too, though. And everybody, a lot of people, this is why Wanda and Vision over the years haven't like really people haven't latched onto them is because they have the Superman theory.
Mhm.
They're too powerful. So
Yeah.
like what we know about the Scarlet Witch, this version right now, after this series, um, like okay, say Spider-Man, like I don't know, Scorpion shows up, you would just call the Scarlet Witch and be like, hey, can you take care? Like it's so powerful that like now you have a problem of how does she not help? Like she's got to go somewhere because when the big bad comes, everybody would just be like, why don't you? I would probably call the Scarlet Witch. This will take like 5 seconds. So like they've got to figure out how not to have her involved in every storyline going forward. This is
Well,
what happens when you overdevelop these characters.
and that's where the multiverse of madness comes in, right? And that's the cool thing about all of our heroes, man, is like some of our, are the boots to the ground heroes, that go out and they take out these, empires and organizations that
Right.
are just, trying to corrupt Earth. And then you have like your strangers and witches and stuff like that who go in alternate dimensions and realities and stuff like that and fight. And then we have, Thor and the Asgardians of the galaxy fighting in space. So like there's different levels of villainy that exists within the MCU.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them cool.
Oh no, it makes them great, but it just you always have now you just have the problem now of like you always have to have an excuse for them not to be there. Like
Well, it's just like the first Avengers that we saw, right? Like
Yeah.
Thor was fighting,
Right.
ice giants. The Guardians were fighting, you know,
Yeah.
Ego. They were fighting a planet.
Yeah.
Like they each have like their own big
But
bad
the
that they
problem with
fight
Wanda is
independently.
she is a terrestrial character. Like she just lives. So that's it's just a problem. Like
Yeah,
it's always a problem. And it's always has been a problem. Just that now that she is this Wanda,
mm-hmm.
now you're like when things are really going bad, like why would you not call Wanda? Like seriously, is anybody calling Wanda? Somebody call Wanda.
She's preoccupied with Dormammu right now. You know what I mean? Like she's taking care of this. Yeah.
So it makes it kind of weird, and it's always been a problem that she's so powerful that and I'm a like you referred to him. I'm a boots on the ground guy. Like I'm a Daredevil guy. Always have been.
Spider-Man, Punisher.
That's me. Yeah. So, but no, she's great. It's a great character to have, and as of this moment, she's the most powerful character in the Marvel universe. I don't know who would top her. I think she's past Doctor Strange from what they've showed us.
Captain Marvel too. Like I don't know if Captain Marvel could.
You're right. Yeah. And that's the thing though.
Doctor Strange maybe like.
But here's what they didn't give us, and this is what we got to get. Okay, what is Wanda's weakness? They didn't give us her kryptonite. And so now as we stand right now, we're like, she can do whatever she wants and beat whoever she wants. Like all she have to do is put a spell on Captain Marvel and it's done.
Well, you know what they have in their back pocket with her now is her family, right? Like the whole family dynamic of Wanda. She just lost what family she did have. Now they have Magneto in her back pocket, right? Now they have Quicksilver and her building that continual origin story of, how she came to be. Agnes could always kind of be like the anti-hero in her universe right now. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
there are ways that they can do it. It's going to be tricky to navigate. Like you said, it's going to be tricky to navigate.
It is tough. I just, but they'll figure it out. Like you say, it could just be as simple as like, no, Wanda's fishing or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it just feels like it's something that has to be addressed constantly now because she's so powerful. But that's Wanda.
We're 9 episodes deep into the next phase, so like we're
true. Oh yeah, I'm excited for Falcon and Winter Soldier coming up. Nobody could complain about this show for sure. Like this was a show that I didn't really care about when I advertised it a few years ago because of my whatever. Witches. Yeah, great.
You have a deep dislike for the.
I'm just
magical.
I just like she doesn't like. So the fact that they made me like her is actually a huge like. I can't believe it. I really can't believe that I learned to like her, except for, I thought she tried to rationalize a little bit too much in episode 9, and I think she kind of got away with one because I'm just saying if somebody like kidnaps my brain and my family for 5 days, and then I'm like, well, what happened to him? They're like, oh, she's cool. She's just chilling. Like, I'm not
Her
down.
husband died. She brought him back. You guys kind of got involved with it. She's really sorry.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's cool. But you don't know. Like, what are you
yeah.
talking about? Like, yeah, it's really weird because they're like, oh, no, she gave up her, pretend family and stuff for you. And like, well, what about my real one? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's the argument. And that'll probably be something. Essentially, then we're kind of back to the Civil War movie. They've already done that, so we
Well,
can't.
how many civil wars have existed in
Oh,
comics? You
yeah,
know, that's kind
true.
of like a recurring theme.
Yeah, but after the
They
first,
can't go back to that. There's too many
yeah,
other quote unquote wars within
yeah,
comic history that they got to
yeah.
touch on.
Yeah, I hope they go, but I hope they also don't lean too much into this magic stuff and lean like I can only do so much. Doctor Strange and Wanda, like I need, I need the Spider-Man
We still have them,
hitting
and
Rhino in the face. Like,
we know that MCU now has rights to Jessica Jones and Punisher, the characters from the Netflix Marvel TV shows.
Yep.
They're probably going to be coming back, which is good. And Winter Soldier and Falcon. There's going to be your next.
I'm really looking
forward
to that. Yeah, really looking forward.
And the Hawkeye show too.
Yeah, I'm a huge Sam Wilson as Captain America fan, which I don't know what version of him we're gonna get. They say Falcon, but he was Captain America at the end of. So yeah, I know he's got the shield. So I'm just gonna say Sam Wilson. I can't wait.
We're gonna get fake Captain America too in this. It's gonna be awesome.
Nice. Well, yeah, because there's been I think 4 over the years. It's been pretty crazy. But that's more of my stuff. I have a feeling that I'll enjoy the episodes better, but I may not enjoy the.
And I'm gonna be the hater. I'm gonna be like, I need more.
That'll be great. That'll be great. Well, you're gonna be the Marvel Skip Bayless. All right, so let's. It was great, man. Let's go ahead and rate this episode and get past it. I'm softening up a little bit than I did Friday night. Or
I have that effect on people.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll just give it a 3. I'm rating it on the episode, not the series. The series gets a 6 Infinity Stones. Like it's not even close. This episode gets. I've already touched on it. Spent too much time on Witch Fight and Junkyard Fight, and not enough time on developing, other characters. Darcy, Hayward, Jimmy, complete waste of time in the end. Like really, very little effect except for breaking out of handcuffs and calling the FBI. Really lowbrow stuff right there. That's weird. Hayward turned out to just be a goon that.
Well, so far,
the whole like trying to shoot the kids so that we can show that they can stop bullets. All that's too easy. I thought that was just. I really think that stuff might have been reshot, and I don't think that was the original. And I'm going to stick with that. But I'm going to give it 3 Infinity Stones. But as the series as a whole, I give it 6 Infinity Stones, and it's not even close. So, how about you, man?
I mean, it's hard to go against your call of the series, right? Like if there were more than 6 Infinity Stones introduced in the MCU, I'm well aware that there are more that exist in the world of the comics. But right now in the MCU, there are only 6.
Yeah, we'll stick with 6.
I'll give you 6. For the show, it's really hard for me to separate the series from the episode because this is the crescendo of everything that we've seen, the culmination of it. It's really hard for me to separate our podcasting of the episode from it too. Like,
yes, absolutely.
It's like in the episode where Agnes is like, the creation of your family is so intertwined with the hex that you can't have one without the other now. Like that's what I feel like with our podcast and the show.
I totally agree.
I can't do less than 4. Like I can't be average. And what really did it for me, I totally agree with you on the fact that the witch fights were, like I said earlier in my knee jerks, it felt rushed. There were things that you mentioned that didn't need to be there, but when you get all past that, when those 25 minutes are over, right? When you get past the first 25 minutes and you got another 20, you see the growing development of the relationship between Wanda and Monica, which if you've read any comic books, love that. You start seeing that Nick Fury or someone, right? I assume it's Nick, but is calling up Monica to rejoin her, right? And so I'm so happy for Monica. Like she's not even real. I'm so happy that she is in the MCU.
I believe we're getting a Monica. I mean, it's amazing. Good for them.
I love it. The emotional aspect of it, you know, how like even today, like I teared up watching it. Like I'm telling you, when I was in bed with my wife, I bawled like a baby, you know,
Oh
when
no,
I
it
saw.
was yeah, and that's amazing to do with a comic book like movie. Like they really like yeah, yeah. I mean, you can't say enough about
Yeah,
the writing and Elizabeth Olsen in particular.
yeah, the kids being tucked in for bed one last time, you
Yeah,
know, thanks for choosing me aspect. You know, we got to see just I really do think that Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany are married in real life. Like it just feels
it,
like
amazing.
the chemistry between them. It's just like they are made to work with each other. Like
It was great acting job. Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
that whole aspect, the cut scene at the end where we see Monica is as strong as she's been, like she almost took out Thanos herself out of a fit of rage. You know, just she stopped one of the more powerful witches on Earth
Yeah,
out of just sheer will, and now she's going to be learned moving forward on top of everything. Like that's cool. You know, the nod to the fact that her and Doctor Strange have to at least cross
oh,
paths
oh yeah,
coming down the road. So like the foreshadowing of things to come, um, you know, the emotional aspect of it, the send off, and then of course, like I said earlier, you know how invested we've been, you know, watching the show,
oh
working
yeah.
together.
It's been awesome.
It's so hard to separate. I can't give it less than 4. I
Yeah.
can't do it.
And I think that's fair. I think I also agree with everything you said. Mine is just particularly, I'm just not a witch fight guy, and I knew it was coming. I was a little disappointed that I knew it was coming, the junkyard fight. But I do love White Vision. I thought
Yeah,
they did a perfect job with him. That was silly to have him not crush her head right away. Things like that. Like the one here. So here's a big problem. Essentially, White Vision is an emotionless vision. That's the whole
mhm.
point. He's got he's got everything. He doesn't have the emotion. There's no reason that he would say like that he would like kind of taunt Wanda. That would be
Yeah.
impossible. So like things like that really bothered me. And I know that movies, especially comic book movies, have done that for years. But
The
this show,
chokehold on Vision from Vision.
little things like that are yeah, right. Little like they didn't. That wasn't great. That's what I really feel like. For some reason, I feel like that's like they went back and they're like, okay, hey, we need a new middle 15 minutes of this show. Something felt weird, but that's cool. It was still neat to see. And I think like if I was younger, like if I was 12 years old watching this, I would think it was the coolest thing ever. I have no problem with it, but it
Thought it
just
was pretty dope.
the show put themselves so highbrow and they outsmarted us for so many weeks that
Yeah.
I was just that's all. That
And I
part
think I give them a little bit more grace in the aspect that they had no like this was lightning in a bottle. Like they had no idea what they had. You know
That's
what I
true.
mean?
That's true. But I like it's just like I grade my Buckeyes. Like
I know, I
I
know.
don't grade them based on what I see. I grade them based on what they could be, and
Yeah.
so that's
And
where it gets away.
and you look at it as a episode by episode basis. You're taking the fact that like we've never seen anything like this out of it.
Right.
You're analyzing what you see in front of you at face value, which I totally get and
Just that.
understand.
Oh yeah, the series is like I say, out of the park. A quick shout out too to all of the women in the series. Just
Yeah.
wow, what a job they did. This is how Hollywood needs to see like how women characters should be developed, how they should everything down to like wardrobe to things they say, how they're treated, how they react, like all of these things. It was perfect. They, you know, I talked about it a couple weeks ago. They had 4 or 5 obviously beautiful actresses in this that they could have went the usual direction. They could have went they
Put him
could
in a latex bodysuit.
essentially they could have sexualized everybody. They didn't. They let them be the strong human beings that they are, and it paid off.
Yeah.
At the end of this, our stars going forward and leading the charge of the MCU are these awesome female characters that we've had in these comics for so many years, and they're doing them right. I think
It
respect
doesn't feel forced either. You know what I mean?
does
Like
it
so
no
many people are
right.
worried about like stop shoving these strong female characters down our throat.
No,
Like no, like they
that
developed
that's her.
Wanda so well and
It
Monica.
represents our world. Like like yeah, there's a lot of awesome women out there that keep things moving forward. That this is how it works, and sometimes it's who cares if the majority of the cast is women. Like we're past that, and I really give them a lot of credit for like you. I think you touched on it right there. It wasn't forced. It wasn't like they didn't have to bring it up. They never had to bring it up. And that's how you move forward, by doing this. A lot of credit to them for that. The show looked good. Thanks Marvel for doing this for us. It was awesome.
Absolutely.
We got to do this podcast out of it. I never would have dreamed that it would have been as awesome as it has been. I've looked forward to it. It's been great, man. So
shout out to Rob again, man, for
absolutely.
all that he's done
Rob
throughout this entire show.
Yeah, Rob,
whether he supported us in the beginning
Yep.
and then eventually became, an outstanding contributor to the show. Rob, man, you're listening, you're watching. Show doesn't exist with everything that we have done without.
He's always there for us to bounce ideas off of and bring up. It might just bring up something in the chat room that we're like, whoa, I hadn't thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of how we do the sports thing too. We all bounce ideas off each other and bring new ways of thinking and stuff. And so yeah, real cool. Yeah, good call. And shout out to everybody that's watching and listen. It's been a blast. So we know how great the show was. So let's get on a prediction. I think Steven's got some big ones going forward because it's pretty crazy now. So I'll just start with you, man. You give me some predictions and I'll just bounce some things off of you as you go.
Okay. One of them I think that we can touch on just real quick, and I don't think it takes a lot of explanation, is the fact that Darcy leaving, I think, is going to be setting up the Love and Thunder. It's going to be happening with Thor. And,
she did a great job, by the way, in this show.
Natalie Portman. Yeah, she was outstanding. Love
her character. Yeah, she's a more full character now, more well-rounded character. Great job with her.
And apparently there's going to be a new Loki thing coming out soon. I don't know if it's going to be past or future, but she could be involved in that as well. Like she's
we don't know because
kind of bounces around.
Yeah, they're going to piggyback off of Endgame when he escapes in that universe. So that's how they bring Loki back to life. So we really don't know what the Loki show is going to be holding. Could be wild though. Could be.
He's the god of mischief, right? So it could be setting us up for a quick little wink, for I'm going to be back, or it's going to be a, hey, you guys basically threatened Marvel's life if you didn't put me in anything again. So this is for you. Like this is just fanfare. You know what I mean? So
I bet it'll be cool. The Hiddleston can carry it for sure.
Yeah, he's made to be Loki, right? Yeah. So there's that.
He tried to be Thor. He tried out for Thor.
Yeah, I 100% do. Yep. Another thing to Jimmy Woo, and here's what I think is going to happen. So we know that this White Vision is a West Coast Avenger, right? So
yes,
with the memories that were uploaded into him, with the fact that we see him fly away and not to be heard from again for the show, I think he is going back to where he was made in the first place, right? And I talked about this in episode 8, where we know that Vision in the MCU is different in the comics, but in the MCU, he is created by Tony Stark with a little bit of love zap from Thor. He is, brought to life, but he was created by Stark and Hulk, Dr. Banner. And we saw in episode 8 that a Stark drone that was radiated from the Hex, brought White Vision to life, and we saw that his memories were awoken within him. So I think that what we're going to see is White Vision fly out to the West Coast in California where Tony Stark lived, and I think that he's going to try to figure out kind of like this who am I type thing, and that's going to set up for the West Coast Avengers where we already know Ant-Man is. Yeah. So I think Wu being in here is kind of foreshadowing, he's going to go back to California. He's going to be a part of whatever's happening with the next Ant-Man movie. And that's going to set up the beginnings of a West Coast Avengers, where we also know that Hawkeye's daughter is going to be in the MCU here soon too. Maybe she ends up being in California too.
Because Hawkeye was a West Coast Avenger, so that they could just replace him with her. Agree. And then I think Jimmy Woo is going to be in like every movie. I think he's going to be the new guy that like just has a part in moving every movie along, kind of like they did with I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he was in Black Panther. He was in one of the Civil Wars.
Oh, Agent Coulson.
Yeah, I think that's who I think was, and I hope so.
Yeah.
More Jimmy Woo, the better. Yeah. I think you're right, and I also think there's roadies bouncing around out there too. Like, we may not get Don Cheadle, but he was Iron Man at one point, so they can easily just. Iron Man doesn't have to be gone. Tony Stark's gone, so there's more West Coast stuff.
Be a mantle. Well, we also know that Ironheart is going to be coming out
Yeah,
soon, which is like the
that's
next
true. Yeah,
generation of Iron Man. So
that's a
this
good point.
whole new West Coast Avengers thing could be happening. So
Would make sense.
yeah, there's that aspect. I think that I touched on this earlier. I think that Monica's going to space to set up
Oh,
for
for
the
sure.
second Captain Marvel. I think that that's a given.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's actually like just factual. I'm pretty sure that that's a done deal
yeah.
because that
So
movie is almost in the can.
yeah, it comes out. I think in what next year. I
Yeah,
think
it's next year, but
in the next year. You know, Black Widow was supposed to have already come out. So who knows what's going to happen?
oh my god, I need the Black Widow movie so
Yeah,
bad.
me too.
I'll, see, you want to talk about boots on the ground? That's what she's one of my favorite characters of all time. Just is probably the only
You love
person.
a good assassin story, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
the espionage, the assassin, the
Cloak and Dagger.
yes, huge. Well, I'm a James Bond freak.
Of course,
I mean?
yes.
That stuff. Yeah,
Austin Powers. Yeah.
yeah. That's it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, I'm not. I'm like I say. I'm a terrestrial guy. I like that kind of stuff. I
You're
like
down to earth
cosmic
type
stuff
of
too.
guy.
Yeah, but for the record, like I don't love Thanos. Like that all worked out, but I was never on board for all the cosmic stuff. Like I want.
It opened up another side of the Marvel universe.
Oh yeah,
that we
it's cool.
needed to
It's
see.
cool
Yeah.
that and I know people love it. That's just me. Like I would take 5 Spider-Man movies in a row and he could fight, Scorpion, Kingpin and all that. That's my thing, him and Daredevil team up or something like that. That's just more my style, but that's
Or Deadpool.
yeah, love Deadpool for all these reasons.
How great would what's his name, Tom Holland and Ryan Reynolds in a movie together? How freaking fantastic would that
Holy
be?
cow.
That would be like the best bromance ever.
Have you ever read any of the comics where
Yes.
Deadpool is screwing Spider-Man?
Yes.
That would be perfect.
They
my
have the
gosh.
best cast for that
Yes.
setup of
It's
anyway, that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah.
So now
That's
I
what
want to get
happens.
in.
We want like 1% of
Yeah,
ticket
just
sales.
one showing
1%.
of them together.
Yeah.
So here's where my predictions are those were the easy ones, right? Like I feel like they were just kind of obligatory that we had to touch on those, right? The prediction now of the whole astral plane concept that we see from Wanda, it's twofold for me. One, I think in the Darkhold that I think she's discovering how she can get her family back. I don't think that it was just like some kind of memory that she's recalling back on.
No,
I think that was an audible, like she hears it, we see the magic wind up, and then boom, I think that she's springing into action. She's trying to find a way to bring her family back to her. I don't think.
Yeah, the kids are. I don't know how they're going to explain it. Like you've talked about them being part of Mephisto and stuff like that, but the kids are there's something out there. I don't know how they'll describe it, but I think you're totally right. Like they can be saved, so to speak, or brought back. Yeah, for sure.
They exist somewhere within her consciousness, within the mind stone that lives within her.
Yeah.
Another multiverse universe. Like there's going to be some way, and maybe this is how Mephisto actually gets brought back. Like maybe she finds that there's another entity.
And Wanda's the Nexus. It's as simple as that. She can go whatever of her universes. She's still Wanda.
Yep.
And so wherever she goes, if she steps into that family, she's still Wanda. You nailed it. That's exactly what it's that simple.
Yeah. So I think that there's that aspect of it, and she's altering with time. And then 2, I think the obvious of the 2 is that we're going to see her deal with Doctor Strange. And this is where I think that these big bads that we were anticipating in the show, whether that be, the Grim Reaper, whether that be Brother Voodoo, whether that be, Mephisto or even a Dormammu, I think that we're going to see Doctor Strange just in particular pick up from this launch pad that, WandaVision set up from.
I would hope so. So. After all the setup, I think it feels like Nightmare is an obvious one.
Could be Nightmare as well.
And an easy one to do. Mephisto is like everybody says, like once you go Mephisto, then like, oh, okay, like that's a big bad. It's hard to.
You have to have Ghost Rider come along too, because he's a pretty big villain.
There you go. Yeah, I hope Nicolas Cage plays him.
Dude, I love Nicolas Cage.
Dude, I like the first Ghost Rider.
Yeah, we don't talk about the second Ghost Rider. No.
Yeah, that's rough. I really like the first one a lot. I thought they did a great job, especially for what they had to deal with. He's ridiculous. That hair,
And that was before MCU, you know.
Oh
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
just
Oh, that was
Marvel.
great. Like as somebody that, like as a comic book fan, like we were starved for it. Like it was great. I'm still a fan of it. I still watch it.
Yeah.
He could do a great Mephisto or something though, because he's just so crazy. You know what I mean? Like, he can do it like he can be a part of the MCU.
I would love to see a Jack Nicholson Mephisto.
Oh yeah, he could,
or an Al Pacino.
Yeah. Ooh.
Because he played the devil.
Already done it. Yeah, he's already done it. Yeah. Those guys are starting to.
They might be a little too far.
Starting to age up there for a Marvel movie. Yeah, but there's some good actors out there that could still pull it off for sure.
And then of course predictions too. I know that you have yours right, but
no, not really.
There was a part where the director, I forget his name, of WandaVision was specifically asked about Quicksilver and how disappointed people were with him. Yeah. He put out, I don't know if he's just trying to, save his neck, cover his back, whatever, but he said, I wouldn't be so quick to be disappointed. It's something along those lines. Like basically like,
yeah, I think he's just trying to save his neck.
What you were hoping to happen, like just wait, So that could be him just trying to be like, all right, let me try to quiet as many people as I can. Or it could legitimately be because we do know that at some point mutants are going to be in the MCU. So maybe he's holding on to whatever it is down the line. Like it may not even be me, but someone is going to introduce mutants and Quicksilver will be in there because Wanda exists. Yeah. So like just hang on. At some point we'll get to it. But maybe there is something already in development.
I think they dropped the ball in the Quicksilver thing. I think they wanted to give us the tease, for the X-Men and bring Evan Peters into the show.
It felt like the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
Bang. One of the worst things that MCU ever did. And then it just felt like, well, how do we get out of this? Because it was rushed. It was kind of confusing. It didn't make sense.
There was so much potential.
The whole Ralph Boner joke was weird.
Oh, Boner.
It was almost like the episode was like trying to be so deep and all this is going on. And then once Wanda dismissed Quicksilver, she never even went back to it. Like she was like, oh, that's not my brother. And she never addressed that he was even existed again. Like it was so weird.
But he's still strong. Like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah. How could he hold? It doesn't. They really screwed that up. They just really screwed that up. They should have just dropped all that. Like, there's no way. Like, why could he just touch Monica and like keep her down? Like
Agnes could have put her in like some sort of magical cage or something. You know what I mean? Like, or locked her in a dungeon or something. Didn't have to have Quicksilver run fast, freeze in front of her, and thump her.
Which is something he doesn't do because she would have. Because at this point, she's powerful. Monica, she had her powers at this point. So like, none of that
speed isn't like hand to hand. Like his power doesn't come from just like I'm great at hand to hand combat. Like it's that crazy amount of speed that he has making contact with you really messes you up. It's not like boom.
Right. It just that, and they probably didn't have the money to do the same slow motion they did in the X-Men. That whole thing was just a flop. They just flopped it. Like that's just all there is to it. They messed up the same way they did the Mandarin. They just screwed up. Like I'm sure they look at it and they're like, oh, that's not great. We're podcasters. We've done it. We've listened to our show back, and you come to a point and you're just like, oh, screwed that part up. And then you just move on. It's recorded. It's done. You can't go back in time. Like you just like you gotta move on. And I think this show would take a pretty high batting average.
Yeah.
Hands down. They're just going to give up on that loss. Like, no, we had to punt. Like that's our bad. That was a fumble. It is what it is, but they definitely no payoff. It was an easy way out. They didn't even have to do it. They could have cut that whole scene out of there and had Monica show up. And I don't think anybody would have even cared.
Yeah. They're like I said, just have Agnes like incapacitate her, do something.
Just something. It could have been so silly. No payoff whatsoever.
No,
I don't.
That's why I gave it a 4. I didn't like try to do something crazy and like make it to be like the greatest episode of the whole thing.
Well, that's another theory of mine real quick. I won't go back to episode 9 much more, But that's why I think something that could have happened. The way they did that was almost like they were revealing that Agnes was bad. So it's almost like that was supposed to happen like earlier, to where when she figures out that Ralph is actually just that, and like, oh wait, Ralph's not actually Agnes's husband. Who's Agnes? But by the time we get to the Ralph Boner reveal, that sounds terrible with an H.
Phrasing.
The fight, the witch fight's already happening. Like, we don't care anymore. You know, we know exactly who Agnes is. There was no reason to do that. And then once it just none of that made sense. But anyway, that's enough kicking the dead. That's enough kicking Ralph Boner.
Yeah.
They flopped it. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'll never forgive him for the Mandarin. That was what a
the boner reveal flopped.
And for anybody that knows, that's about as potty mouth as you'll ever hear Steven get on his show.
Unless you hear me read a Manscaped ad on my podcast. That was
I'm looking forward to that.
It came out on Dash Radio today. Tomorrow it should be, if not tomorrow, then the next day it'll be available for download. But awesome. Austin was like, I've never heard you say anything, let alone saying balls 4 times in 30 seconds.
I can't wait. Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I was wondering about that when I saw the sponsorship. So,
yeah.
Oh man. So, well, we probably got to wrap it up, man. You know, I know we're hanging on for dear life here because this is the last episode. So, do we want to make the announcement about the Winter Soldier? Or?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's.
So good news, everybody. All of our fans. We're going to continue this. We're gonna kind of transform over, and the next phase of setting the screen, we're going to do Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It won't be as much of an investigative report as more of reactionary, because we feel that the show is going to be more action-packed, straightforward. So it's going to be more like, we're going to watch it. We're going to talk about how awesome or bad it was. We don't know. We're assuming awesome. We're not going to dig too deep, but obviously, like when they bring up characters and stuff through it, you know, we're going to help you along. Well, I'd say in the first couple of weeks, we get some comic book recommendations, you know, as we see fit. But there'll be shorter episodes. We may have some guests on. Yeah. Hopefully through this. I think it's only a 6 or 7 episode series. It's not as long. So we may be able to schedule some guests on. We may get to do a guest spot. We've been in the works with some other podcasts. So it's some cool things going on. So we're gonna continue setting the screen right through the Marvel universe and just see where it takes us. It's too much fun to stop now.
Yeah, I think that we've become too invested in it. And from all accounts that I know about, you know, people really enjoy the fact that, one, that we know, you know, enough about the Marvel universe to hold a conversation about it. And then 2, just being like, oh, okay, 2 guys that love sports, like, can also talk about comic books and,
absolutely,
you know, still do that. You know, not that you have to be one thing or the other. I'm a nerd jock. Like, that's just what I am, man. Nope. So I love it. And it's too much fun to stop. And, you know, Jeff, you say one thing right now, like, hey, this is a plan. This is what we're going to do. But like, how many times have we changed the format on this show?
That's true. We will adjust on the fly, but I know
it's going to be a learning curve, you know,
as the NBA season heats up and college basketball over the next couple of weeks, a lot of occupied. We got the NFL draft coming up, the Off the Ball Network. We got a lot going on to squeeze it in, but I know I'm going to watch it. I know I'm going to love it. I'm super excited. I like both these characters. I didn't love the Winter Soldier in the MCU. I just liked him. I didn't love him.
I didn't like him in Civil War, which is weird because like that's kind of like what the whole thing hinged around was.
But I never bought it. I always say this. Viewers never cared as much about the Winter Soldier and Bucky as the Marvel executives thought we would. Yeah. Whether it's because of, you know, Sebastian's acting or the character or whatever.
I like Sebastian.
He's fine, but we saw like what Wanda could do with a character that people really don't like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It didn't feel like I see what you mean, like with what Evans did with Steve Rogers, like you were like, this is freaking Captain America.
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan as Bucky maybe it's just even the name, like the name doesn't age well, like Bucky. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
it's just we never cared as much as they wanted us to. But I've got an open mind. These two together, Sebastian and Anthony Mackie together. I like the chemistry. They're going to be funny. I think it's going to be a slightly more like a buddy cop show. I don't know how serious it's going to be.
Beverly Hills Cop, maybe Lethal Weapon style.
I'll take that. And I here's what I know. Anthony Mackie's going to hold up his end of the deal. That guy has never let me down in a movie ever. Even
I'm
as
just interested to see.
Even as Papa Doc not saying a word in 8 Mile at the end, he still's a better actor than most actors on television. He's great.
He was.
I'm sorry.
Abe Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. He was fantastic in that movie. If you've never seen it, like just watch it.
I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah, he's I forget the character's name, but he's
not Abraham
Lincoln's best friend. You know,
really?
Yeah,
that's cool, man.
It doesn't have witches, but it has vampires, obviously. So you know,
I like vampires.
Okay, well then there you go. It's got one of the best presidents ever. It's got one of your favorite actors in it, and they kill vampires.
I watched part of it. I did not catch him in that. I watch everything he's in. He's great. Yeah. I always wanted him to play Jesse Owens, but he was a little too old when they made the movie. Yeah. The kid that did it was good, but I thought he would have been perfect. He's just so dramatic. You know, he's just such a great job. But you know, he's a great Falcon.
He's
talent. He's perfect. I think like. When I watch him in the movies, like he really adds to those movies, and that's a big part of it. Huge fan. Yeah. So that's it. We're going to do Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I'm super excited about it. I don't know, man. I can't say enough about this. It was a great journey. The series was great. We talked a lot about it. This has been a blast. I'm glad you invited me to do it. Man,
thank you for hosting this. Like I couldn't picture anybody else but you being like, all right, I want to talk about this, but I need someone who the production that you put into this is, is top shelf, man. Like you do a great job.
I know. I get to start making the Winter Soldier stuff this week. I'm pretty excited about it.
There you go. And so your production aspect of it, you know, the amount of time, effort, and energy I know you put into this, the way you host the show, I just wanted to basically pick your brain on what we think about the shows, and I know how you analyze cinema. You're just like you're the dude for this. I just wanted to kind of hang off of your coattails, so to speak. In this journey.
No. The way you dug into the characters and went farther and farther and farther down the rabbit hole, and so much of the things that you discovered were correct. Like I had never heard of Agnetha Harkness when we started doing the show. So things like that, like it's been super cool. It's just been a great voyage. It's really been a great.
I had to bring something to the table working with you.
Yeah, too much. Everybody right now is like, yeah, we know who the smart guy is.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, it's the same way at the network too.
Yeah. Oh, dude. There's first.
I'm just a puppet.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever you like about us, like there's like 18 to 20 other dudes in our network that do just fantastic work.
Yep. Awesome. So that's it, everybody. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you stick around for the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. It's awesome. And we love you all, and be kind to each other, and we'll see you soon, real soon.
Yeah. Much love, everybody.